bootstrapped some of your companies as well.
Mhm.
Talk to me about how, if I'm listening to this podcast today, I want to go raise money for a venture tech AI startup today. What's the best route of going about doing so if I don't have the experience that you have today?
Which is a good point. So once you get to that first exit in some capacity, what you get is this magical entrepreneurial card that you can use for many things. It'll open many doors. As in, you can use it to find co-founders, initial employees, investors, and what have you. But how do you get that initial card? And that's the question. I do think of people which I chat to, many of them make the mistake of over-investing into a story about what they have, not what they could become. And no investor is really that interested in what you have. What you have is really just a proof point or a metric of the likelihood of you being able to become what you're telling me you could become. And that part of the story is certainly one that I've honed over the years, for where I've been able to create a picture so vivid of an island you and me could live on in the future that people can also imagine that particular island. And there's no need in pitching anybody anything if they don't want to be on that island with you. Now, if we can get to agreement that that island exists and somebody should kind of paddle out there, it's going to be very dangerous. Probably most won't make it. I probably won't make it. But if you can agree at least on the island, good. That's half, if not most, the sale of trying to get an investment. Then the only question is, and I'm putting that in big ass air quotes here, is am I the one to take us there? I don't want to invest any time and energy in trying to persuade you into anything if you don't want to live in the same place as me. So that part of the story is pretty much all of my pitch. For that, you rarely need many, if any, slides, because if you can't even paint a picture where they close their eyes and imagine it, some sort of utopia, cool. Now that you can also see it, let me almost pitch it backwards. So what steps do we need to take to get there? It'll take multiple steps, multiple rounds, multiple kind of near death, if not full on sudden death experiences, for we just won't make it. But you need to be able to see the island, see the steps, and sure, there'll be some elasticity in that, but I can certainly envision it. And then we come down to, so why you? Well, let me tell you what we've done that serves as a very good proof point for why we've taken some early steps, and they can kind of catapult me to the next step. So that's the one part, the island. The next one is having a good understanding of what is it that you're selling them, that initial pre-seed, seed round. You're not selling them an exit or money or cash flow. You're selling them a probability of you closing an A round. So don't try to sell them all sorts of other things. Just be upfront and honest about this is where I'm at. This is where I need to be at that particular next step. Can we agree on the next step? If we can't agree on the next step, then we can't find the probability. But if we can agree on the next step, which could be any number of kind of technical advancements, MRR, other things that we together deem important enough to have reached that particular milestone, then we can talk about what amount of money do I need to have in place to get to this. As in, hey, you want me to kind of swim from here to there on no energy? That's not, hey, even I don't believe that. I said, that's not going to be a 500K endeavor. It's going to be more like a $3 or $4 million endeavor. Okay, then we can discuss that. And if you have that in place, I think you're in good shape.
You've unpacked a ton there, which I love. So much to cover there. What caught me most is you are selling the dream of where you can go rather than where you are today. When you first raised your first amount of capital for your first venture studio, where exactly were you explaining yourself to an investor? And then what did you exactly sell them for that specific company?
So the first amount of money we raised in the US without any network or anything, nobody should call for where, hey, remember, I took some money from you in the past and I sent you more money back. So let's start with that story and that'll get me in the door. So just pretty much blank. Arrived from Europe and had to kind of figure out, okay, where's the lead list to this? And in that particular venture for where we did predictive analytics, I tried to paint a picture of a newsroom different to the newsroom that we had today
Love it.
and wasted inventory. And just as a side note to that, how do you become a believable observant to what is going on, if not embedded in the industry yourself? Which is why many industry insiders can certainly kind of accelerate some of these discussions because you are the expert. So to do that, we moved in with the New York Daily News. I sat next to the editor-in-chief for a year. So don't talk to me about what that looks like. I know exactly what this looks like. I know exactly where they fail. I know exactly what they can do better. So you need to somehow have a believable backdrop for why what you say could be true. Not just fantasy, but a believable backdrop. And we had this kind of analogy for where there was a time pre Bloomberg terminals where I lived right across the exchange, where people would just run around with pieces of paper in hand trying to do pretty much deals, right? Buy and sell directly on the floor. Then one day a Bloomberg terminal arrives and most of it kind of changes. Today, the analogy worked very well for where the editor-in-chief would have kind of 3, 4, 5 meetings a day with their kind of particular editors, make a set of choices. There was no Bloomberg terminal. We wanted to be that Bloomberg terminal for that particular vertical. And people could start to kind of both see it and believe in it. And that became kind of the kind of shorthand for that picture of the island. I said, I think Dennis is working on that Bloomberg terminal for the news industry. I see that. Yeah, why doesn't that exist? Yeah, he saw something. He's working on it. He's got these kind of early kind of signals. I want to see him kind of make that happen. And we did. We ended up with probably 80% of the top 150 news destinations. As in, that's not a newsroom I've not been in the world. As in, whether that is in India or in Denmark or in France or across the US. As in, that's not a newsroom I haven't seen to kind of make that story. And it worked very well. We ran that venture for 1,057 days from inception to exit. Do you know what? It just fits so well. We should probably have kept it. But it fits so well for where almost immediately, or another interesting side note, right? There's this kind of inflection point in your venture for where you move away from selling to you supporting people buying. And it's very kind of visible. You can feel it when it happens. Very early on, you're actively selling what you have. Sometimes you even have to kind of both describe the particular pain, then describe the particular solution, have them agree, have some sort of construct in place for where they can get on board. But then you cross into some other territory later on for where you have enough recognition, penetration, what have you, for where now people are buying it. And you just need to put in place a very good buying process.
Those are huge points. I think, Dennis, you have a wealth of experience and you also are a massive visionary. And I can tell you're able to craft a story very well, which I think what makes a unique entrepreneur is being a very good storyteller to go attract the best people around you, whether it's capital, people, whatever it may be. And you have that. That it factor is very unique.